Okay, I'll make that 2 o'clock on my computer. Welcome, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Michael Fox. I'm just putting my email into the chat box today because we do have an awful lot of people on. I did have a look a second ago, but I'll just have another look. Oops, skipping ahead. Just wanted to see how many people are on. So we did have over 100 registered. So instead of doing the normal kind of chat box where I might be able to answer your questions as we go, I've just put my email into there, and it will come up at the end as well if you can't find that chat box. But if you want to pop any questions over to me on email, then you can do, and I'll be able to answer those later, kind of in order, because I just don't think I'll be able to deal with all the questions kind of as we go through. So today's webinar is called How Your Website Can Let You Improve Productivity and Client Engagement. The call login details are on the screen if you need them, 0203-478-5289. In case my voice is suddenly coming out of your computer or laptop, very loud, and perhaps it's disturbing your colleagues, then you can dial into that. And also, there'll be a recording of today's session, I'm sure, sent out to you as well. So if any of your colleagues want to have a watch of what you sent today, then they're free to do that as well. So now, if I click across to the next slide, there we go. So the agenda for today, and you would have seen this in the email coming out, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone's clear on what we're going to go over. We're going to make sure that your website doesn't fall foul of GDPR regulations. And how exactly could you do that? We're going to see how you can increase productivity with your existing clients with a secure online presence. We're going to see how you can engage with your clients using marketing activities, increasing the value that you deliver to them, and the overall kind of overarching theme here is how Iris Web Portal can help you do all of this. Because we're not just going to give you a lot of problems and things that are coming down the road, we have also a solution. So, point one, how to make sure your website doesn't fall foul of GDPR regulations. Now, we're clear on this, and I just want to make this kind of extra clear. We're not saying that anything is GDPR compliant. We're not, I don't think anyone is at the point here where you can say that something is fully compliant. Reason being that GDPR is so much about the behavior of your staff. We could give you something that was, you know, a lock, stock and barrel solution, but if you kept the passwords on your desk or if you decided to use a bit of information for something else, we wouldn't be able to stop you doing that. You know, if you had a list of emails and you decided to use that list of emails, which was for one thing, for another purpose, then you'd be breaking the regulations, and that's all kind of down to human intervention. So it's very tricky for us to say that something is compliant. But we're going to make sure that nothing that you're using that maybe you don't have control over is going to make you fall foul of it. One thing is this little error that you might have seen before while trying to visit websites. So this is all down to the idea that SSL certificates are, as it says, going to become a necessity. Now, non-SSL sites, and I'm going to mess this up, so secure socket layer is what that stands for. So non-SSL sites will fall down page rankings, and it's going to give your customers and prospects less reassurance. Now, some browsers may even display this look when people try and visit the site. Now, it can be actually tricky to bypass this without having to know what to click. If you saw this, you've got your connection is not private. There's a big X through the HTTPS. That's saying it's not HTTPS, which is what you'll see, you know, on banks and most websites actually these days because of this. What would you click? You've got back to safety. You've got your back button. It's not going to let you in. You know, you just can't see it. You've got advanced. What you actually have to do is click advanced, and then you get one of these lovely phrases like, I accept the risk and visit anyway, which is lovely. So would you continue if you've never been to this site before? Or maybe you just give it a miss. The warnings say, you know, something to your existing client base also. It either says, oh, look, looks like my accountant's website's been hacked. I'm sure they'll get that fixed. Maybe I'll send them an email to let them know. Maybe they don't know. Or they might not send you an email, and then next week it's still like this. It kind of then says, oh, maybe they don't mind that they've been hacked. Either way, I would say you would go down slightly in a customer's expectations. And with a prospect, you wouldn't know, you know, whether they've seen it or not. So this is very important to take a look at. It might be tricky yourself to see if this is happening on your site, But if you use a Chrome browser that's just been installed, which is, the most kind of popular browser worldwide, if you use it on a computer perhaps that hasn't visited your website before, ask a friend to try and log on and see if you get this warning coming up, because they're starting to roll this out in certain versions of Chrome. They did say they were going to do it in January. I think the next date is now June or July. There's a J in my head for it, as to when this is actually going to roll out kind of across the web. So there's other problems as well. If they manage to make it through, or even on sites that aren't secure at the moment, they'll get this warning here. And you might have seen this again, these areas that are highlighted in yellow, the not secure versus the secure there, obviously the IRIS website and other websites like it. So HTTP plus SSL equals HTTPS. So this is like a very odd bit of algebra here. But an example of what this looks like is this website, which you can visit yourself. So if I just pop this open and then drag it onto the screen that we're looking at, what we've got here is we've got this not secure warning. Now this means it's got a certain password field which could be looked at by anyone. Because it hasn't got that secure socket layer, anyone that's looking at my connection could look at what I'm actually typing in here as I type it. So this is kind of a test page to help developers understand how to do it. But you can see if you click this, this is built, into the browser, and this might be coming up on your site at the moment. And that's one thing, that's one thing to say, well, maybe people will be put off by the fact that they'll see that. But it's another thing altogether to think, well, what does that actually say to them? And what does it mean for your ranking in terms of where you arrive on Google as well? So the problems outlined with Google's own admission that they're giving a boost to HTTPS sites and trying to keep everyone safe. So they've just changed the rules. And this is an example of one thing that you're in danger of slipping behind of and not even realizing it. Your business is being ranked all the time, and it may be that a worse account is appearing to prospects before you are. You may be of the mind that you don't want prospects on the internet, but it would be kind of nice, I suppose, to be given the choice, to be able to turn down those clients, or maybe turn down more. And in the process of turning those down, maybe you'll find a few online that you'll want to work with. Another problem, cookies and privacy settings. So, or privacy and kind of, policies. So this is a really complex area. It's not entirely clear yet how consent for cookies will apply under GDPR. You may all remember that we all had to agree now, any website you visit first time, it will say, sorry about this, but you've got to be aware that we collect cookies. And now you have to be really careful with what you're doing with those. Because even collecting an IP address, kind of passively, if someone visits it, your site can be considered personal data. So have you any idea if you're storing those cookies correctly, if you're storing them safely? If something changes with this, if they make a new announcement on what we have to do, how are you going to keep up? You will have to make sure that you aren't using personal data for purposes that you don't have permission for. I even saw some advice that if you have one of those helpful chatbots, which either connects directly to you and allows people to chat back, but when you're away, out of hours, what it usually says is, hi, can I help? And then it says, oh, we're all actually busy at the moment. We've all gone to bed, so do you want to put your email address here and we'll get back to you? Even that, it's just another form on your website that needs to be secure, and you need to make sure that you're storing that data safely and that you're not then automatically adding those people perhaps to a newsletter list that didn't necessarily want they didn't give you permission to actually do that. So another problem, consent to capture and use data and double opt-in. Now, I'm going to quote now from it, there must be some form of clear affirmative action, or in other words, a positive opt-in. Consent cannot be inferred from silence, pre-ticked boxes, or inactivity. Consent must be separate from other terms and conditions, and you will need to provide simple ways for people to withdraw consent. That, we all love a pre-ticked box at the checkout online. If you don't want to not receive this, then don't not tick the box below. And it's pre-ticked, and you don't know which way to go, with that. So can you imagine trying to, keep up with that yourself from scratch if your website is self-made? I really can't, personally. The double opt-in is kind of like when you sign up for an account with something. You get an email because the company that you're signing up with want to make sure that your email address hasn't been taken and that it's actually you and that you actually want to sign up for this. And now they're making that a regulation for any sort of newsletter. But the thing that we use, you're covered for it. As you can see here, through MailChimp, someone signs up through the form on your website. They get an email saying, hi, we just want to confirm your subscription. And if they put their email in that box, then of course they're saying yes. But this is just to prove that they put it in. Because if you put it in yourself, they're already on that list, and they wouldn't know about it until they actually received the newsletter. But then, as you can see, that's all just kind of taken care of for you with the system. So all of these things kind of bring together this kind of perfect storm of perhaps problems, or things that you haven't really thought about before because of this new regulation. So guess what? Sorry, we really can't help. I'm kidding. Of course, we wouldn't go over all these things if we didn't have something that could help you. So all our sites come with SSL certificates. Cookie and privacy policies are pre-built. If anything changes, we're going to be able to update them. You haven't got to think about it. The consent to capture and double opt-in is something that is built into our form capture and email system as well. So that's all really boring stuff. I haven't shown you anything flashy here about Web Portal. These are just things that you're going to need to have on your website. One, to stay compliant, and two, to stay relevant, to stay, kind of within Google's rules as well. The SSL certificates are one thing at the moment that they're going to say, well, if you don't have it, you're going to get pushed out. But on top of that, we do all the design as well. And maybe any of these other things could start to become, factors in whether Google puts you towards the top of the list. So on top of that, that ranking by it, if you don't have it on that SSL certificate, if you don't want to send people to that scary warning page, you'll just slip off page one because they don't want to send people to that scary warning page either. And there's already some testing going along that actually on the results, next to your name, andrewsandbrown.co.uk, and a little blurb talking about you, there'll be a warning that actually comes up there. But just right alongside your results saying this site might be compromised. We can't tell because you don't have that certificate. So some people won't even try and click it. They won't even get to that warning message. And I think it's really a choice up to Google and the other search providers what they do, but they won't want the full first page to be results like that. So I think they'll just start to push people down and you won't even realize. That coupled in with the exact same advice being about non-mobile friendly websites, just not turning up in mobile results, can be really, really bad news. That can be a double kind of effect that if you haven't got a mobile ready site and you haven't got an SSL certificate, that you could have two really kind of black marks against your website's name there that you're just not really able to fix. So how are you going to increase productivity with your existing clients with a secure online presence? Well, the way to do that is through OpenSpace. So GDPR is obviously, covering communication between you and your clients also. And OpenSpace is a free portal that we provide to all of our IRIS clients, and you can securely send documentation both ways between you and your clients, and you can get things approved as well. So we've got some new features coming up really soon. So I would say look out for OpenSpace webinars coming up. But where are people going to go every time they want to send you something? They could find the last email that you've sent, when you sent them something, or every time they want to pick up an email from you, they could just, look for the email that comes through and they can use that link nice and quickly. But if it's just spur of the moment, or if you're on the phone and you say, oh, can you send us something, or I've just sent you something, they could just go to your website and we can build this in as part of it. And they can just bookmark your site, and it's much like dealing with a lot of different entities now, your bank and other things like that. You're not going to get the body of a message in the email, especially you're not going to get attachments because it's just too difficult to kind of go around and encrypt those things. So you can use OpenSpace, you can use Web Portal, and the service from us whereby we'll brand it up, and I'll show you what that could look like. So it could go from IRIS OpenSpace like that to Andrews and Brown Cloud Documents, and we're going to be able to help you get going with that. So we can get you started with OpenSpace as a tool to securely send those documents. Whoops, scroll on the wrong side there. But we're also starting to put together a route to OpenSpace. It can seem a daunting project, but we've got some ideas for some services which can make it really easy. So if you want some extra help, you are interested in getting help set up on that, then get in touch, because you could be some of the first people to kind of try that new service if you're interested. So both the kind of cloud documents service, which is OpenSpace, and there's also the ability to use Cashflow in the background as well, which we can brand up, which is useful just for sending figures back and forth between yourself instead of having to use Excel spreadsheets, which you know is going to be insecure and is not going to keep you okay for GDPR compliance. You're going to be able to use Cashflow, whereby you're both logging into a system that's secure. But again, they just visit your website. And how to engage with your clients using bespoke marketing activities, increasing the value delivered to them. So the way we do that is every month we release a newsletter. And actually, I haven't changed the title here. That should say newsletter rather than digital portals. So every month we release that, and we give you the functionality to send it out to your clients. And that's via that MailChimp system. So anyone else who signs up to this mailing list, via the double opt-in system. So you haven't got to worry that you're going to fall foul of it there, but you're going to have to prove that this, so-and-so prospect that's gone onto your website at some point gave you specific permission. Now, you can add each month in your own stories, and you can also just use the newsletter as a future template for your own bespoke messaging, so that your emails are really consistent in look and feel. Really, really easy to do this. If you can edit a Word document, you can do this as well. And each newsletter automatically links back to the full stories on your site. Some customers choose to use each story that we do, there's usually 4, and then do a follow-up email, each week during that month. I've heard a couple of people say they're going to do that and write up a page of their own, because these are obviously things that are upcoming. As you can see in this one, tax-free childcare now open to under 9s, for instance. You might want to write a bit further on that, and we'll give you a starting point essentially, and you could give that, you could call that a blog. That's basically a blog, and that does help your SEO as well if you aren't making your own kind of unique changes to the site. But doing all of this means your clients are getting constant monthly updates from you, which means that they'll be sticky in their mind, and it will give them a reason to recommend you to one of their colleagues or business associates. It's just another touch point to justify your billing. And with our sites, we actually include a payment page as well at no extra cost. So your clients can really start to use your website to interact with your business in a lot of different ways. So what's next? I put my email in that chat box if you want to copy it, but if you've got a pen or you've got a computer next to you, then you can write that down, michael.fox@irs.co.uk, if you've got any questions about today. If you want to know more about web portals specifically, then you can visit iriswebportal.co.uk to find out more there as well. Or you can request a demo directly with your account manager, and they'll be able to give you an idea, some live sites that you can visit as well to see about that. But hopefully that's answered some of your questions about how Iris Web Portal will be able to stop you from falling foul of the GDPR regulations. So thank you very much for joining me today. My email, as I said, is in the chat box, so pop me over any questions you have, and you will receive a recording of today's session as well. Thank you.